and gentlemen, this is Jovin from the GoLoco Podcast, where I sometimes go a little bit loco on a topic, a discussion, or just talking to my guest who I do not have today. See, I changed up the intro a little bit. I'm gonna work on it, but I digress. Anyway, for today, how are you guys doing? How's everyone doing? Chit chatting or something? I don't know. Yeah, I do not have a guest today, which is first time in a while. I think I haven't had one. And it's the first episode in a minute since the episode I had with my friends Josh and Mario. Link will be up here somewhere for you guys to click and watch that. Watch that one. Come back here. I'll still be here. They're great. They were great, and I laughed the most. I think it's nice to talk with friends, just talk with people that you haven't talked to in a while, catch up, but yeah, today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite things, the NBA. So the NBA's first week has wrapped up, and I have, type these out just so I have 1, 2, I think these are 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 8 takeaways from the first week. For all intents and purposes, because this is the first week, a lot of these are going to be overreactions, or it could be overreactions within the next week, next month, halfway through the season, the whole season. A lot of these things could have changed drastically. So keep in mind, this is being recorded on the Wednesday, the 27th of October. So in the early morning or late night, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, let's get into it. So on my Twitter, I did ask the few followers I have on Twitter. You'll see my Twitter handle on screen. What you guys would like, what takeaways you had, and because mostly Warriors, I have Warriors people who follow me, not Warriors people, the people who follow me, some of them are Warriors fans. I mostly got Warriors takeaways, but one takeaway I'd like to discuss further, because I pretty much agree with it almost wholeheartedly, is by the infamous, at least to Warriors Twitter, the main man of Steph slander, Steph Curry slander, if you could call it that. I mean, he tiptoes the line a lot, but he's one of the main people I talked about Warriors. He let me share. He's letting me share this take here because I asked, so if I could use it here on the podcast. So without further, I'm gonna read this. This take from the legendary Tommy Gunn. Ooh. If you guys know Tommy Gunn, you guys know Tommy. He's very known on Warriors Twitter. As again, once I said, it's quote unquote Steph slander. He's a really high critic of Steph, but he loves Steph. But that's why he held such high praise. The only other thing you might know about it is he's part of the redacted fan club, Warriors fans. You know what I mean. So anyway, here's his quote. All right. I'll just read it for you guys who are on audio only. So from Tommy Gunn at tgun21 on Twitter. This team is better than I thought. Would prefer that they would still make up 1 or 2 more moves to make sure. Yeah, I can't talk today. Oh my god. All right. This team is better than I thought. Would prefer that they still make 1 or 2 more moves to shore up their roster. But I think they can win 50 games without doing so, given they stay healthy and Clay returns. And yeah, that's basically what I'm a Warriors fan, so I'm biased with Warriors. It's a Warriors thing back there. And I'm rocking a Juan t-shirt. So I'm a Warriors fan. So obviously let's talk about them first because I'm biased. But Warriors as of today are 4-0. They just beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, they were giving me a panic thing because it was could have been a trap game today. But yeah, they're one of the 3 undefeated teams in the league right now. One of whom we'll be talking about actually next. But right now we're going to talk about the Warriors because they're the team I know the most, the team I love the most. Yeah, this team is just. You can find bounds of videos, bounds of podcasts. Kevin O'Connor, Zach Lowe, all of them have talked about it. How the Warriors have just like they're legit. They're in terms of like teams with high end top talent with their stars along with the cohesiveness. They're like getting out of the gates pretty good. And of the undefeated teams, I feel like the Warriors have played the most wide range of opponents in terms of quality. So they've played both LA teams, so Lakers, a possible title contender. They've played the Clippers, a playoff team. I would say playoffs. The Kings, who are in the mix for the play-in, and then the Thunder, who were, let's just say they're vying for the number 1 pick this year. Let's put it lightly like that. But yeah, last year they had a bunch of people who did not fit the system. Kent Bazemore, he was a decent shooter, but he would make knucklehead plays and foul too often. Kelly Oubre shooting over triple teams. Wiseman was a rookie who was like thrust into no training camp and just got injured. Brad Wanamaker. No, and so yeah, so like the Warriors, they revamped their coaching staff. Kerr acknowledged that Kerr 2.0, let's go. Acknowledged that he needed some things. He got a bunch of developmental people who are specialized development, but he also hired Kenny Atkinson, who, let's be honest, he's basically lead assistant 1A and 1B with Mike Brown right now, especially on the offensive end. He's really I feel like Kerr needed someone to challenge him. There was so much like yes mentality the past few years that everything got stale. So Kerr changed up the coaching staff. They got rid of mostly people who didn't fit. No more Wanamaker, no more Oubre, no more Bazemore. Wiseman's out with injury, so he'll be back eventually. But for the most part, they replaced them with high IQ veterans. Bielitsa, Otto Porter, Andre Iguodala, just vets who know how to play the game on a high level, who've been through the league. Bielitsa has played a EuroLeague MVP. Iguodala's been with this team before. He's like one of the smartest players in the NBA. Porter, an 8-year vet, he's been through the ringer. And they just fit the system better. And Kerr's coaching style is just starting to change a little bit. He's willing for this team to take more threes, as evidenced by the preseason. I feel like a lot of the reason why their season numbers for threes have gone down compared to the preseason one, I think that usually 3-pointers go down from preseason to the regular season. Also, too, I think teams over-scouted the preseason, thought they were all going to shoot 53s, and then because of that, I saw a stat now, the Warriors are like either near the top or at the top of the league in shots at the rim, which, if you don't know, is the most efficient shot in basketball. No matter what, like if you're shooting layups all game, it's basically, it's like the most efficient shot you could have, right? Despite and they've started 4-0 because they just fit. Everyone's clicking, and the biggest thing is that this team is winning games even when Curry is just playing at like a B or A- level, or Curry can relax, barely put any effort during a regular season game and score 25, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. That's like a average to bad game from him, depending on how he was playing. Last year, if they did that, if he did that, the Warriors were getting blown out. Like Oubre would be shooting over 5 people. Draymond would be like passing up open layups. Wanamaker would be chucking it to Wiseman's toes. It's just like the team last year just did not fit. And this year they fit really well, and all the players know where to go for the most part. They fit better. They pass the ball around. They look for the best shot available, and they don't make as many stupid mistakes. And it's reminiscent of like the 2015 and maybe the 2016 Warriors, like before KD, like moving the ball around, knowing where to go. Their defense is, I think, is still pretty good, though they do have some weaknesses. You know, Looney is he got the hips of the oldest 7-year-old in the league. Bielitsa, while like he's okay in like straight line drives on offense, laterally he's just non-existent. Porter, at this point, because of the injuries and whether or not his conditioning's up to par, I feel what he wants and what they want, he's a little slow. They don't have much point of attack of defenders outside of Wiggins and Gary Payton II. So there's chances like some guards or big interior like centers like Jokic, Embiid are gonna take advantage of them down low, while guards like possibly like Lillard or Booker, Paul, they might take advantage of Curry and Poole in the starting backcourt at times, because both of them are. I would say Curry's at this point, he's actually playing way better defense than he did even in the KD years. He's probably like, he's definitely above average, right? But Poole is like what, average to below average at best. So that's a big problem. But this team, I feel like, can win 50 games. The Warriors are back, but like they're not like title favorites. They're not the title favorites by far. But like if you were to tell them, hey, could you name on the top of your head 5 teams better than the Warriors? Definitively, not like arguably, like definitively, like these 5 teams are better than the Warriors by far. I don't think you can say that now. I think that even as they are, they're going to be pushing that top 5 teams all season, and that's before Clay gets back, and that's before Wiseman gets back. And let's keep it a buck, okay? Clay and Wiseman are coming off injuries. They're going to be coming in slow. Wiseman was already struggling with the system before, and now he's coming off an injury. The coaching staff is putting emphasis into getting developmental coaches, and that's hopefully where Wiseman's going to be able to improve. I don't expect much when he first gets back, 5, 10, 15 minutes at most, but for them to like, they need a person who can attack the rim, like, or be at the rim consistently. Wiggins in this Oklahoma City game that just happened did that, but he can't do. He doesn't want, I don't know, to do that. Can do that every game. Poole can get to the rim. Curry can obviously get to the rim. Poole can get to the rim at times, but he's pressing a little bit too much at times. Because he's so young, he's gonna press. He's gonna like try to pull up when he should drive, and drive when he should pull up, and shoot when he should pass out at times. Because he's young. He's gonna be pressing for a shot, but that's the growing pains that you get with him. So Wiseman, the key for them interior wise, both offensive and defensively, I mean, maybe not the key, but like an improvement for what their weakness is. Right now, we look at Looney and Bielitsa as like, well, Looney knows where to go, but Looney right now is, can't really provide any rim protection. He's decent on switches. He's decent on going to be on offense. He's okay at rebounding. Bielitsa can, depending on the matchup, can play well. The matchup doesn't require him to like get switched out too often with guards and wings, he'll do well. But Wiseman, just based on size alone, has the potential to be at least way better option just inside when people drive in. There's, instead of a 6'9" or 6'10" center with an average-ish wingspan with who can't jump, now you got a 7'1" center with a freakish wingspan who can jump. And at this point, depending on how Looney and Bielitsa play, Wiseman on defense last year was pretty bad, right? At times he showed flashes, like if you gave him like an easy assignment or something, but he would get out rebound at times. He got lost, and he would get better some games, but usually he was pretty bad. But that's where the development staff comes in. That's where him simplifying the game for him comes in. Like either tell him to switch, tell him to drop. They were giving so many things. That's where Iguodala, that's where Green, that's where all these veterans are going to try to help him. That's where the coaches or staff has to help him. And offensively, make sure he's diving to the rim, right? But whether or not you believe in Wiseman, Tommy, I know if you're listening to this, I know you're a little bit of a Wiseman pessimist realist because you didn't get your redacted player. But I'm definitely more on the optimistic side because I can see what they can do with him. Like the stuff that Wiseman can do, a lot of centers can't. But a lot of stuff what centers can do on average, Wiseman does on a subpar to average level right now. And they need him to be average to above average. And it's all going to be on that staff. And will they survive if he doesn't play as much? Of course. The way they're playing right now, if you're looking, it's pretty well. But they're going to need his body just so that Green doesn't get overworked, so that Looney doesn't get overworked, Bjelica doesn't overwork, that those guys can rest at times. And yeah, and then obviously the big one is Clay. How good is Clay when he gets back? If Clay is, 70, 80, 90%? By the time the playoffs come around, this team is dangerous. That's another shooter. That's another person that opens up the lane that might not be there. Poole right now is trying to drive into people when there's Green and Looney in the way. And then Wiggins, they'll respect him kind of. So when Poole drives right now, he's meeting people at the rim that, that because of the way the rule changes are, which we'll talk about again later, he's not getting the foul calls I want. I feel like he's getting dissuaded. Now, if you have Clay out there, now there's an extra space. Now there's that, Poole's driving. Well, we can't leave Curry. We can't leave Clay. That's two defenders that can't help out immediately, right? That it just makes that much easier. And then again, I feel like Poole and Wiseman are developing some chemistry before Wiseman's injury. When Poole drives in the lane, what's the difference between him passing the ball to Looney in the dunker spot and Wiseman in the dunker spot is completely different. Even despite how you feel about Wiseman, it's different, right? It just is, frankly, right? Even if Wiseman was underwhelming or inconsistent at times, when he got the ball, especially when Poole was passing the ball, they developed decent chemistry and it was easy buckets. And when Wiseman's there, you can't leave the help as easily as you've had Looney in there, right? So, yeah, this team is easily, I think, a 50-win team as long as healthy right now without Clay or Wiseman. Get Clay, get Wiseman, integrate them good. I feel like they're a title contender. If not, they're close. I would maybe you make a move. Whoever's out there, whoever may be out there, if there's something comes up where there's some depth pieces you can add, a star player can add, sure, go for it. But right now, I'm pretty satisfied with how it's come up. As long as this team stays healthy, I can see them going pretty. I think they're in the upper echelon in the West, and because of their team chemistry and how far along they are compared to other teams who are in that echelon, outside of maybe the Jazz, and maybe the Suns continuity wise, they're gonna be up there. Yeah, that's what I have to say about them. So let's move on. Another undefeated team I want to talk about is the Bulls. And with the Bulls, my takeaway is that they're fun, but are they good? The offensive rating is okay. It's actually, I'm checking right now stats online. Chicago. Okay, they're above average offensively right now, and their defense is just superb right now, right? They're just going off on the defensive end, and with their personnel, you wouldn't think that's the case, but they're defending well. But I have to put a caveat because they have played the Pistons twice, who are probably among the teams like OKC. They're they're not trying to win many games. Especially they don't even have Cade Cunningham, their number one pick, the number one pick of the draft this year. They don't have him, so at the moment. So they played the Pelicans without Zion, and that they beat them, which is fine. The Pelicans have a little bit of talent with Ingram and stuff like that, but they don't have Zion. That would have been probably the best, if not second best player on the court if healthy. And that's a whole nother topic. We're not going to get into Zion today for the takeaways, and then they barely beat a Toronto team, which is probably closer to a playing team in the East, and that's at best. And that's with Siakam coming back in like December, January. He's not even playing right now, and they barely beat that team. So I can't say how good they are. They're having a upcoming next like 10 games, I think 10, 15 games, if I remember correctly. They're going to be playing a lot more playoff and title contending teams. So we'll see what they actually are in the next couple of weeks. But in this first week, they're undefeated. They're 4-0, just like the Warriors, and they're fun, right? Like, they got Levine, who's their superstar scorer, scoring like, just always improving, averaging 25 right now on 50, 40, 95 splits right now, 4 games. And he's only 33. He's playing well. DeRozan shooting a few threes. He's their second leading scorer. Lonzo's basically doing it all offensively, and defensively he looks much more like what he did in the Lakers more than he did on New Orleans, so that's great. Vucevic is giving them a solid interior offensive presence. Patrick Williams defending okay. Caruso off the bench giving them energy, hustle, defense, a solid, steady backup point guard. That's a pretty decent team. Now, defensively, do I think they're a top 4 defensive team with that lineup? I mean, Lonzo and Caruso are shown they've been plus defenders. Levine defended really well in the Olympics, but he's not been known as a above average to good defender. DeRozan's probably around above average to good. Vucevic isn't exactly the best interior defenders. Patrick Williams has potential to be a really good defender, but he's just in his second year. And looking down the roster, I mean, they don't have much in terms of like veteran presence, in terms of they're pretty young. Outside DeRozan and Vucevic are the only people over 30 that have played a game for them right now. So do I believe that their defense is a top 5 to 10 defense? I can't say that. So we'll see if they fall back down to earth or if they persevere. If they persevere, then this take will make me look a little more stupid or a little more not as good. But right now I think they're fun. Like, they're going up and down the court. Lonzo's like blocking like power forwards at the rim, and DeRozan and Levine are obviously 2 of the best dunkers or finishers at the rim in the league. Caruso is just fun to have. Vucevic is just a steady post presence. If you need a basket, just give it to him. Not many centers are 3-level scorer like Vucevic is. He can shoot the 3 mid range. Post up, 1 dribble pull up, 2 dribble pull up. I'm not going there, but they're fun. They're gonna be a fun team to watch this season, how they go. But they're 4-0. Right now numbers 4-0. I just don't think that their competition so far has warranted me saying that they're a good or great good team. I feel like though that, as I said, the next few weeks for them are going to be critical for one, how good they are going through the rest of the season, and 2, just how they play, Okay, third takeaway. Let's stay in the East. James Harden, 4 games into the season, is averaging, I think he's averaging 3 free throws a game. 3. This is a man known to average 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15 free throws in a game throughout his career, especially post OKC in Houston. He's known to exploit the rules to any part of his advantage, right? Whether it's hooking someone's arm, head flail back, step back three in which he jumps forward after he steps back, and you basically get into him. He knows all the trades of the book. He's like one of the most prolific perimeter players to draw fouls ever, exploitingly. But this season the NBA implements a lot of rules regarding players manipulating the defense to their advantage to draw fouls, and a lot of those things that Harden has done throughout his career are not being called fouls. Fouls across the league are down right now. They're like, I mean, the trajectory was already going down compared to like previous seasons, but even compared to like last season, it's like at least 2 or 3 free throws lower across the league per game. And Harden is just, his free throws have tanked. I think he averaged over 7 last year. He's averaging 3 right now, 4 games in, 3. That's completely bonkers. I think that's thrown off his entire game too. He's only averaging 17 points right now, and he's not shooting it well at all. I think I saw a stat that he's also not getting to the rim as well as he did in the past. Whether that's due to age or whatever, he's shooting a lot more floaters. He's not shooting his floaters as efficiently as he's done in years past. Will those numbers go up? Harden's one of the best scorers ever, okay? Just skill-wise, is one of the best, right? I think he'll be okay. Probably. I think he'll adjust. But if he doesn't adjust, or he doesn't adjust as much as well as he can, if this is truly like the start of the decline of Harden, the Nets could be in trouble, because if Irving doesn't get the shot, if Harden actually takes a step back, that's a pun, takes a step back in terms of his star quality, and Durant's a Durant. He's not affected at all by any of this. Like he started, him and Kobe doing that rip through move that he adjusted, right? And because of who he is, he's a 7-footer with unbelievable shooting range, could just shoot over anybody, athletic. He's offensively, he'll probably never be affected by anything, right? He'll always be taller than everyone, and he'll always shoot better than 95% of NBA players. And that combination alone is unstoppable, right? But Harden really, I feel like, especially when he's not shooting well, uses drawing fouls to get himself into a rhythm. And now I feel like if the refs continue holding this stance of what they are calling fouls and not fouls, he has to adjust, right? He just has to. Whether that I have advocated, or at least said, that he should go back to some of his mid-range stuff they did in OKC and early Houston. He had a little bit of a mid-range game, right? Not saying he takes long step back twos like he's Andrew Wiggins or Kobe Bryant, but like, you know, short mid-range shot, like, you know, like Jordan had a decent short mid-range. I mean, he's great. He's the best mid-range shooter. What am I talking about? Oh my God. But like, that floater is not working for him so far this year. And if this continues, like I think I saw a thing where, but for his team, he's impacting his team just as good as Andrew Wiggins is impacting the Warriors. And if you know anything about Andrew Wiggins, that's not a good sentiment for Harden right now. Let me just pull up the stats one more time. Yeah, Harden's averaging 17 points. He's still averaging 8 assists. Yes, and he's still rebounding a decent amount. But his turnovers are pretty high, 4.8. He's only shooting 36% from the field and 32% from 3. And he's, again, only averaging 3 free throws a game. And if that doesn't pick up, and if Irving... And they don't even know if Irving's coming back, right? They don't even know. They don't know if Kyrie's coming back this year. And because he's getting a lot of support right now, which I believe is just stupid, completely and utterly stupid. Man, the Nets were like, I feel like the Nets coming into the season were like prohibitive favorites. Like, people were treating them as the favorites as much as like when Durant was on the Warriors. That's how much people were favoring him. Now with all these things, if Harden continues to struggle, I mean, I'm on the camp that he will adjust, that he will bounce back. But if he bounces back, is he still James Harden, or is he now a step below what he was? And if Irving doesn't come back, the Nets are vulnerable because like they have a bunch of veterans and they have a bunch of decent pieces: Joe Harris, Patty Mills, Blake, Claxton, but their title as the prohibitive favorite or the favorite, that goes down. The Bucks obviously are confident. They'll be looking to try and be past the Nets. They have the confidence that they can beat them, especially with the way the Nets are constructed right now without Irving. They're like, we beat that team. We can beat that team. I don't know what's gonna happen with the Sixers, but the Sixers are just, that's a whole nother can of worms. But Simmons, at this point, I don't even know if he's playing. But let's not talk about him. The Heat are gonna be a tough out. They're gonna play them hard. They're gonna play them rough. They're gonna play them physical. Pause. But I don't know. This is just, again, as I said at the top of this podcast, this is a bunch of overreactions. Probably it's only the first week of the NBA's takeaways. These are just like a lot of things can change in the next week, month, or whatever. But yeah, this is going to be pretty tough for the Nets going forward. They're going to have to solve this problem. And I saw like Nash was saying how the refs are specifically targeting Harden, and they probably are to an extent, but you have to adjust, right? If the refs are not going to back down from how they're calling it, you have to adjust. It's plain and simple. You can't jump into defenders, you can't hook arms. And a lot of those things, as a Warriors fan, I hate it, obviously, and a bunch of people probably around the league hate it too, but like, Doncic has people like Doncic who have done it. He's adjusted pretty well. He's adjusted a little bit. He's not looking for as much. Trey, not looking for as much. A lot of players around the league are starting to adjust. Curry, for example, Curry's no longer flailing as much on threes. He's though he's still got a few 4-point plays this year, but he's not flailing as much as he did last season. He tried to like incorporate some foul baiting. It didn't work out because Curry's just not that type of player. That's not natural to him. So the refs don't give Curry the call anyway. But like they're definitely not giving him the call then at times. But yeah, Harden just has to adjust. He's a superstar. If he's a superstar, he should adjust. He's a talent. He just needs to do it. All right, fourth takeaway. Portland. Whoo. Yeah, I saw a stat that Damian Lillard is 2 of 24 on his threes to start the season. That's bad. That's really bad. They're struggling out the gate. As a Warriors fan, we saw them twice in preseason. I did not see what Chauncey Billups has changed for that team. I mean, I don't know if Chauncey can be a good or bad coach, but the Portland front office has just not surrounded Lillard and McCollum with the right pieces. Their best team, I think, the one that reached the conference finals that got swept by the Warriors in 2019, that was their best version of their team. Lillard and McCollum were the offensive punches. Nurkic, I don't think was in the playoffs, but throughout the season, Nurkic was just like their interior presence, rebounding, scoring inside, decent high post to low post passer, just decent passer, right? But the thing that made them good was that they had some defensive pieces. They had Harkless and Amino on the wings who could guard positions 2 through 4, and they could switch all those positions and hide McCollum and Lillard way easier than what they're doing now. And even then, that was like they hadn't done as much as what they should. The people, at least I thought they should have. Was like, I mean, this backcourt, I don't know if they can defend well enough, and then they let the few defensive pieces they had go. They replaced them with Melo, who, to be fair, Melo played really well for Portland offensively, but defensively they just haven't fit. They haven't like gotten any good defensive pieces. They got Larry Nance, I think, this year, but he's coming off their bench, so he's not starting on anyone. He's good. Powell, who just got injured, was their small forward. He was like 6'4", 6'5". He wasn't that big. He's not guarding that many wings. I think Nasir Little is starting now. And I don't know much about Nasir. And the size, I think he's bigger than Powell, if I remember. But offensively, Powell was a decent third scorer, and I don't think Nasir Little is at that point. I think he's averaging like 7 points compared to Powell's 17. Let me just check that. I have all these tabs open on my little computer right here. Yeah, Little's averaging 9 points. Powell, before he got injured, was averaging 15 points in 24 minutes. Anthony Simons he's scoring well, but like Covington is a decent defender. But as I said, this team is just not doing well. Like they haven't improved. They're 17th in offense. They're below average in both aspects right now of the game. Average, or maybe slightly below average. And they just lost to the Clippers by so much. And they beat Phoenix. I'll give them that. But I think Phoenix was on a back-to-back, if I remember, or the beginning of a back-to-back. I don't remember. I don't think they played that many people. And then they lost to Sacramento by 3, who is like a play-in team. Play-in level team in terms of talent and how they're going. And they've improved, but I mean, what? They got Nurkic hasn't been able to stay healthy, but you know, he's just doing what he does. Larry Nance is just a decent big man defender who can switch a little bit, but like, what else? Dennis Smith, kind of a bust out of the league. Cody Zeller, just a average backup center at best. Like, they have no offense, really, like no consistent offensive pieces. And right now, Lillard's not even playing that well. McCollum's actually playing much better than Lillard right now to start the season. I mean, they've only played 3 games, but still, Lillard just can't make a 3 at all. And McCollum is trying to pick up the slack, and it's just not working. And right now, my take is they have to blow it up. Portland needs to blow it up. Now, the name that's been out there, I'm not saying you rebuild, but you got to retool this entire roster. Like 90% of this roster has to go. And I feel like Terry Stotts was unfairly blamed. Despite him, all head coaches are flawed. Terry Stotts had his flaws, unimpressive like offensive sets, and obviously he was much more offensive than defensive first coach. But I mean, look at the rosters they gave him to work with. Like they didn't give him much, right? Like there's not many, like I don't think they've had like a decent knockdown shooter off the bench since Curry. Seth Curry, not Steph. Seth. Their defense sucks. They never had great defensive. They have Covington, but they haven't had really many great defensive wings. Nurkic hasn't been able to stay healthy, so, and Lillard, McCollum just don't defend well at all. Like I don't even know if they ever really seen them try, but like Lillard's a little too small and McCollum is a little too slow. And they don't try as hard as, like, let's say Steph. Steph is like, I'm showing my bias here, but Steph, I feel like, gets unfairly said that he's not as great a defender, and he's not good. He's not great. I think he's solid. He's good, but that's because he's smart and he plays hard. He knows he's limited in his physicality, but he plays hard. He uses whatever strength or speed he has to do as best as he can. The best of what he can, but I don't think Lillard can do that. And, Lillard doesn't move off the ball as much as Steph. I'm just using that because that's a direct comparison. So if Lillard doesn't have the ball, McCollum stands around. If McCollum has the ball, Lillard tends to stand around. It's just, they don't move the ball around too much. It's really a lot of one-on-one and pick and rolls, not much imagination. Billups, this is his first year, and I don't know how much he's able, or if he was able to install. They got no defensive pieces, really. No consistent third options. I think they have to blow it up. Now, who will they trade? What do they trade for? The big name, obviously, that's been thrown around is Ben Simmons. And I can't... Morey has to be, like, frothing at the teeth, just ready to pounce for a potential trade. The only problem is that he's definitely going to want Lillard and not McCollum. And despite he might settle for McCollum, but like he's gonna go for Lillard. And this all has to depend if Lillard demands a trade. But Lillard's played so poorly to start. At this point, if he demands a trade, it just looks bad on him. And he's never demanded a trade. I don't know if he will ever demand a trade. But Portland has to look at themselves and be like, okay, with the team that we have, we've run this back for like 4 or 5 years, and it's just not going anywhere. I think they just have to change everything. They already changed their head coach, but I don't think Chauncey, I don't think was like revered by Lillard, if I remember correctly. I think Lillard was not disappointed, but like, oh, Billups, okay. I don't know if Chauncey will have a chance to like develop his team into his own, because he's taking Stott's team. I don't think they've changed much. Like the front office is to blame for it. They failed to put a potential contender, a potential higher seeded playoff team around Lillard, because like Lillard's been carrying this team for so long and he's so loyal, but like it's to the detriment of the team because I feel like they haven't gotten the pressure to improve. And yeah, whether it's gonna be a Ben Simmons trade or just an outright just trade everything for anything for draft picks, like they gotta do something. Like I don't know if Lillard is gonna be on this team by the end of the season. I would like to think that he probably will stay on the team, and then it'll be like if they trade anyone, it'll be like McCollum for Simmons, like Ben Simmons or something like that. But man, they gotta do something because right now it's bad. It's going bad. Yeah. All right. It's halfway through the takes. Let's go back to the East. Lamelo. That if you don't know anything about Warriors Twitter, Lamelo is the redacted name. Tommy is was definitely a big Lamelo fan going into the last year's draft, and he didn't even see Lamelo being this good. And obviously, Warriors fan, it's coming from Warriors fans' perspective. There's always debates about should we pick Lamelo? Are we okay with Wiseman? Lamelo's obviously the better player, but what blah 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 blah. We're not gonna get into that debate. If you're a Warriors fan listening to this, just chuck that out. Go back to Twitter if you want to talk about that stuff. You want to talk about talking about Wiseman and Lamelo or the Warriors front office and whatever. I don't have time to talk about today. What I'm going to talk about is the Hornets and Lamelo. And Lamelo just has it. Like, he is just so supremely confident in himself right now. He is the embodiment of just fun, free-spirited basketball, right? And yeah, the Hornets are just showing through. I think they were undefeated for a while, but now they're 3-1 because they lost to the Celtics on an amazing overtime game where like Brown absolutely obliterated Miles Bridges on a dunk. But yeah, they're good. They're good. I don't know how good they're gonna be. I don't know if they're gonna fall back to earth, but they've started out really well. And LaMelo's at the center of it. He just has it. He's been clutch at times. He's just making amazing passes. He's been making his 3 ball is just looking much better. He just exudes the feeling of fun basketball. He's basically, if you compare him in terms of like what he's doing, he looks like if Pete Maravich was playing today. He's just throwing crazy passes, shooting from so far away, and like he's just fun, and he just has it. He's just supremely confident in himself and supremely clutch. And the way he's shooting it right now, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets offense is just really good right now. And it's like, third in the league right now. The only problem is they're 23rd in defense at the moment. So, like, they're not defending much. LaMelo's definitely a part of that. LaMelo's not exactly the greatest defender right now. I don't know if he ever will be, but he has the length. He has the smarts. He can get to, like, average to solid, I think, on that end. But, yeah, LaMelo he's just doing good. He's over 20 points a game. 6 assists, 5 rebounds, decent. You know, I don't think his 3-point percentage is gonna stay around 50%. So that might come down Yeah, 50%. I don't think he's gonna stay up there, and he doesn't really draw fouls too much. So I feel like Lamelo and the Hornets are due to come back to earth a little bit in terms of how good they are. But they're fun. They're fun. The athletes up and down the roster. Lamelo passing all around. Bridges dunking on people. Hayward, he's never going to show up on the highlights, but Hayward's solid. He's been an all-star. He knows where he's finally healthy. He's just showing his solid all-around game that he's still at or just below an all-star level. I would say, speaking for Warriors fans, they do have Oubre, who's chucking up threes as he does. He's shooting much better on threes this year, or so far to start, compared to the start of last year, which was historically bad. But I did see that he did shoot 2 threes that he shouldn't have the other game. He's still doesn't have good touch on floaters. He's not even shooting that much well from the basket, I think. But they don't have PJ Washington right now. I think they don't have Terry Rozier, who's when the one game he played, I think he started over Oubre. So They got Ish Smith, decent backup point guard. They have the only thing about the Hornets is that they have their defense again, not that good. Outside of like Oubre, they don't really have any good point of attack defenders. Their help defenders are okay. Mason Plumlee is a decent defensive center, but he's not great. So I have questions about their defense, and I have questions if their offense is going to stay top 5. But they're fun, and Lamelo just has it. Lamelo, I think, is going to be a budding superstar. Or he could be a budding superstar. He might only reach all-star level. We don't know. He's obviously very young. He needs to grow into his body. He needs to, be more show that his jump shot's consistent. He needs to add some more strength. But yeah, I think he has it. He's just so confident in himself. He's going to succeed no matter what level of player he gets to. He's going to succeed because he just has fun and he's confident in that. All right, it was coming. Lakers, woo! Of course, I'm going to talk about the Lakers because I want views and listens. And my takeaway from the Lakers is that Westbrook and this whole Lakers team just do not fit. I know they won today and without LeBron. But the thing is, I saw people were like, oh, this is how they're going to win. This is how they make Westbrook thrive, give him the ball. And everyone with a common sense replied with, you're going to make LeBron play off the ball. And granted, LeBron shot the hell out of the ball to start the season. But are you going to tell me that the better option for this Lakers team is to have Westbrook handle the ball the majority of the time and have LeBron play as a spot-up shooter, cutter, and roll man, and a secondary option in terms of ball handling? No, that's not the that oh my, I don't even know. Westbrook had a good game today, but if he needs the ball in his hands that much to play like this compared to the rest of the season, this Lakers team is not going. It does not fit, right? Davis is there. They said they're going to play Davis at the 5 more. DeAndre Jordan right now is starting. He is the biggest fraud center in the NBA, not because he's not a good guy. It wasn't not because he wasn't great when he was on the Clippers. He was legitimately top 5 center back then, defensively, rebounding, lob threat. But right now, he doesn't really try on defense. He doesn't go off the rebounds anymore. He still catches lobs once in a while, but that's it. He's just there just to make sure Davis doesn't play the 5 forever. The only problem is that because they traded all their shooters, all their rugged defenders, for a bunch of veteran pieces who Ariza and Ellington I think are injured right now. Melo's not a great defender. Westbrook is average at best on ball, above average at times, but terrible off the ball. LeBron is going to save himself on defense at times. DeAndre doesn't play great defense. Malik Monk's not a great defender. Howard is, he's good on defense. He's going to rough people up. He's going to give his best Lampier Rodman impression. Bad boy Pistons. When he gets in the game, he's gonna rebound the hell of the ball and foul the shit out of you when you drive to the basket, and defend the rim like hell. But he's there just to be 6 fouls. So he's there to get you 8 to 10 rebounds, 6 fouls, and like 1 to 2 blocks a game. That's what Howard's in there for right now. That's his role, and he's embraced it, and that's fine. But this team just doesn't fit. Like offensively, like LeBron and Melo are shooting the hell out of the ball, but like Westbrook, obviously his shots wasn't even like great to begin with. Has fallen off a cliff for the most part. Davis shooting, he's gone down in recent. The bubble was basically the only time he was a above average shooter from beyond the close mid range area. Howard and Jordan aren't shooting anything, so offensively there's like no space, and people are saying, and Westbrook doesn't cut off ball when LeBron has the ball; he just stands there. So like, if you saw especially watching the Warriors game, if you saw like it's a free double team, a free help, a free wall that they can build in front of LeBron and Davis. And LeBron and Davis were completely hot during that Warrior game. They were like, they couldn't like miss if they wanted to, and yet they still lost. Why? Because Westbrook was just not fitting and playing that poorly, forcing it when he shouldn't force it and being passive the rest of the time. And that's when they can't have that. There's been some things they've experimented in, I feel, but they ran a LeBron Westbrook pick and roll where Westbrook was the roll man. I feel like that's potential to help, because Westbrook on the short roll, he has the vision to see the lob passes in the corner shooters when they have shooters. They played Westbrook and Rondo together at times. No, you can't do that. Like, neither of them are a threat to shoot. You gotta stagger those minutes. If that means playing Rondo less, that's fine, I guess. But I know Vogel loves Rondo because he's played for him before in the previous Lakers championship, so we trust him. So there's that. I don't know. This Laker team is just a weird fit. Talent wise, they're probably like definitely in the upper echelon in the league and just pure talent. But like Westbrook is starting to like decline, I feel. And if you can't play him off the ball because he's not going to cut and he's not an average to above average spot up shooter, it's going to be hard. I feel like they should just ran back last year's squad or just traded for Buddy Hield. It's just not the results so far. So obviously overreactions. So Lakers fans might hate me, but like this is just not good. It's not a good start. Just we'll see. We'll see where this goes. We'll see. A lot of people still feel like they're the favorite just because they have LeBron, and that might be true once the playoffs come around. But like this team has a lot of chemistry issues, fit issues, roster construction issues that at some point they're gonna have to solve. And no, the solution is not playing LeBron off the ball. Are you stupid? No, LeBron should have the ball. Maybe LeBron can play a little bit off ball, but like you're not like relegating him to a spot up shooter and cutter, because that's what Westbrook should be doing. But Westbrook's not good at either of those things. But he should be, but he isn't. That's why it doesn't fit. Also, Anthony Davis stopped falling. He fell today, and he looked like he tore his ACL, and then he ran back up. Come on, man. Come on. You're hurt or you're not? Like, if you're hurt, say you're hurt. Right? Say, like, you bruise easily. I don't know. But, like, you can't treat, like, every fall like you tore your knee or your Achilles when it's, like, you like, fell on your bum and you don't even have a scrape on you. You can't treat everything like the same. And then he just falls all the time, so he's always going to get injured. When he does get injured, he's just always getting a wrist injury here, a knee bruise here, a sore thigh there, or a bruised rib here. It's like he's always falling. Of course you're going to injure yourself. That's besides the point I'm getting to. I'm rambling too. This is the local part of the GoLoco Podcast. Me just stop falling. Like no one. Okay. Two more, Jovin. You got this. The Cleveland Cavaliers, my takeaway for them is that they are just weird. I feel, let me just check to make sure, but like, I believe their starting lineup is completely bonkers. Let's see. Game started. Yeah, it's either. I think okay. It looks like Darius Garland got injured. I didn't know that because he only played 2 games. So he either got injured or he just got back. Let me see. I don't see any injury reports, so I feel like he just got back. Okay, so their starting lineup right now is either Darius Garland, Rubio. I think it's Garland right now. So it's Garland, Sexton, Lauri Markkanen at small forward, Mobley at 4, and Jarrett Allen at the 5. They're playing 3 big men. So to give you context, let me see where the heights. I'm calling basketball reference. Lauri Markkanen, 7 foot, 240. Mobley, 7 foot, 215. Jarrett Allen, 6'11", 243. They're playing 3 near 7-footers for their front court, with surprisingly a very small backcourt, with Sexton being only 6'1", and let's see, where is he? Garland also being 6'1". So like they got one of the smallest backcourts and yet one of the biggest front courts in the league. My takeaway is just that's just weird. That's a weird thing. But they've played okay. They're 2-2. They're look like they're just gonna be an average team, 500, maybe below 500 team, with the chance of being pretty decent. But they have some good veterans. Rubio's played decently for them. They have Okoro off the bench, Osman off the bench, who I like. Mobley is just, my goodness, he's a rookie and he looks better defensively than like 85% of the centers in the league. Like he just moves so well. He defends the rim. Like his mobility is just insane for someone of his size. Like he's a true possible unicorn. Like he's just 19. He doesn't even know anything. Or 20, sorry, he's 20. He doesn't even know much about like all the defensive coverages in the league. Like he just started playing NBA basketball, and he's this good defensively already. He's averaging, in per game 2 blocks, and he's for a rookie power forward center ish, only averaging 2.5 fouls. For context, I think Oubre earlier, who was a wing defender, is averaging like over 3 fouls a game in the same amount of time. Mobley is fascinating to me because he, like, at his worst, which is probably like right now, he is a do-it-all center with decent court vision who can defend really well and is a decent rebounder. That's right now. At worst, he's an above average to good center, sub all-star role player. At worst. If he never gets better from here, he is a center. He is a power forward center who can give you 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 blocks a game, while giving you a little bit of 3-point range and decent handle. That's insane. Jarrett Allen just can't miss anything. He's shooting 83% right now. Markkanen, he's not doing great. He's definitely playing out of position. He was already kind of like not declining, but just kind of playing weird. So that's gonna be weird. Sexton is just like gonna do his thing. Garland, he's got a lot of praise. He's only played 2 games so far, but he's got a lot of praise around the league from a bunch of stars. So I have high hopes for him. Rubio, steady presence. Kevin Love eating a paycheck. They're just an interesting, weird team, right? That's all they are. The Cavaliers are weird. The Cavaliers are fucking weird. And last takeaway from the first week of the NBA season. Like Jason Kidd's okay. He was a pretty good player. He's an awful coach. He's the current head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, and he's just what is it? I saw like the first game. I was at the gym and I saw the first part of the game one. And I swear to God, he posted up Dorian Finney-Smith like 4 times. I only watched the first quarter before I left the gym. I swear, Dorian Finney-Smith got like 4 post touches at least within like the first quarter of the game. What? Why would you do that? Why? And he's not even playing that. He's not even. Dorian Finney-Smith is best as a spot up corner shooter who can, like, cut to the rim at times, and he's a good defender. Like, he's not a post threat. What is this? And he's shooting 32% field goal, and he's only shooting 14% from 3. Yeah, because you're giving a freaking post up. He's still shooting a few threes, but, like, he's probably so thrown off in his game, he doesn't fucking know how to shoot anymore. Like, what the fuck? Doncic is still doing okay. He's not shooting great so far to start, but, I have faith that he's averaging 11 rebounds. Holy shit. I didn't even know that. Good for him. Good for him. Yeah, but what the fuck? Like, Porzingis, okay. Take it with the Mavs is just like, what the fuck are the Mavs doing? They got fucking Jason Kidd running Dorian Finney-Smith post-ups. God, their system doesn't look like it changed much. Porzingis is injured again already. He's still chucking up shots like he doesn't give a fuck anymore. He hasn't improved at all, really. You got Doncic as your small forward point guard, fucking averaging 11 fucking rebounds for you. I don't know. Hardaway's still good. He's actually playing really well for them right now. Brunson off the bench, solid, but like Cauley-Stein sucks. Sterling Brown's okay, but he's not doing much. Bullock is a decent pickup who can shoot a little bit. That's it. Kleba can shoot and defend a little bit. Or Powell looks like he's back to his like pre-Achilles injury self, but like, he was always just an average starting backup center. That's it. And frickin' Jason Kidd thinks that the best thing to do with this frickin' team is to frickin' post up Dorian Finney. You can't post up Luka. Luka has okay post game. Porzingis can't post up anymore ever since he left New York. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He's like regressed in almost every conceivable fashion. I don't even know if he gives a fuck anymore. Like offensively, he can't hit a freaking mid-range shot. He's chucking up threes like he's Steph Curry. His post game is almost non-existent. He doesn't take many people off the dribble anymore like he did in New York. He's long and doesn't freaking defend. He's averaging 2 blocks. I'll give him that, but like that doesn't mean anything. Hassan Whiteside also averages like 5 blocks a game, but those are only 5 shots he freaking went after the whole game. So I don't give a fuck. There's like 30 shots that I don't know. He'll block shots just because he's big, but not because he's actually trying to defend the rim. He's not quick. He's playing the power forward for them. He can't defend any forwards, any threes or fours. He's not quick enough. He's not strong enough to defend any centers, despite him being 7'1". He can't post up Marcus Smart. He can't post up any. I don't even know anymore. Porzingis, it's just I don't know what happened. He can't stay, and he can't stay healthy. He just got injured literally today. He went out of the game with a sore tight back, like. And then Luka is just trying to carry this team to hopefully a play-in / a lower seed in the playoffs, and I just feel bad. And freaking Jason Kidd, one of the worst coaches in the league, I guess they're 2-1. I don't give a fuck. They beat Houston. Ooh. The other team they beat is freaking Toronto. They lost to when they played a decent team in Atlanta. They lost by freaking almost 40. Or what is this? They said 97. Almost 30. Sorry, I'm so mad I can't. They lost by like almost 30 points the minute they played a decent team. They only scored 87. 2 teams they beat Toronto and freaking Houston. Who gives a fuck? Anyway, yeah, this is it for me on the GoLoco podcast. I kind of rage at the end. But yeah, those are my 8 takeaways from the first week of the NBA season. I could have done 7, but I'm already a day late already, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we've had about a good hour of content. So, a little housekeeping, let's say. Okay, so if you're listening on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel at the GoLoco Podcast right now. Like the video, leave a comment about what takeaways do you have on the NBA season so far. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please follow or subscribe to the podcast. If you can, leave a rating. We do have a patreon.com/GoLocoPod, where we have early access to most podcast episodes and access to fully unedited episodes, so just the raw footage. There's a lot of bloopers and those that don't make it, so if that's your thing, you can look there. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Links are also down below. And yeah, if you want to be a guest on the GoLoco Podcast, there is a form also in the description on YouTube down below where you can sign up if you want to be a guest. And we'll just talk about random stuff, That's because we're crazy over here in the GoLoco Podcast. We're local, right? So, yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. If you're on YouTube watching, if you're on audio platforms listening to the GoLoco Podcast today, and whenever you are in the world, I hope you have an amazing day. Peace out.